story's clean.
Okay,
And do we have to
we are
push
now
the
being recorded.
Don't say leave meeting.
Bobby, put a light on in your room. You're
Yeah, hit-
you're darker
on-
than you usually are.
Okay, okay, we are now being recorded. And the only problem I see, Franz doesn't have any audio. Robert, Bobby, Taylor, you keep flying in and out with your video. Where did Taylor go?
I'm here.
There you go.
Been
He's coming.
missing.
Well,
coming back again.
while you guys are sort of getting settled in, I came up with a trivia question on the spot here when I saw Jimmy Kalitsa online. I don't know how many of you know, but we have another Kalitsa playing at McGill.
Wow.
Wow.
She's playing hockey. She's a master's student,
Wow.
and she's, I believe, Jimmy's niece, I think.
Yeah.
Definitely not a nephew. She's a niece. And that's Chrissy or Christiana Kalitsa. And she is the 7th member, to my knowledge, of the Kalitsa clan to go through McGill and play sports.
Wow.
Wow.
Now,
Wow.
Wow.
Jimmy, I wonder if I can call upon you to name the 6 other Kalitsas besides Chrissy, or 5 others besides Chrissy and yourself that played for McGill. You remember everyone?
Yeah, I do. First, starting with my uncle Vince, who was there in the early 50s. Then he got me there, so there's 2. And then my brother Sam, my brother Vince, my brother Joe, and Chrissy.
There's one more. You're
You
missing one more.
could have had your own 7.
Oh yeah,
brothers.
Wayne.
Wow, Jimmy.
Wayne, yeah.
My
So you have Wayne
cousin Wayne.
Kalitsa, who played rugby.
That's
Joe
right.
Joe
That's
played,
right.
Joe played football. Jimmy, you played both football and hockey, right?
Yeah.
Like Sammy did. I knew Sammy relatively well, and the two Vince Kalitsas both were football. Obviously, that's definitely a record for McGill history to have
Wow.
7 members from the same family.
Good,
Yeah,
good trivia question.
Very good.
Wow, Jimmy.
Very good.
I wasn't sure if Jimmy would pass the test or not. I figured maybe he had too many concussions, but I think he's passed.
How that all started really was I had a hockey scholarship to Dartmouth College in Hanover. And I was about to leave in 2 weeks, and my Uncle Vince flew into the Sioux. And he said, where are you going to school? I said, I'm going to Dartmouth. He said, on the East Coast, the cat? No, in the States, it's a college there. I got a scholarship, I'm going there in 2 weeks. Got my room, I got everything. He says, you can't go to the States. Schools aren't good in the States. I said, no, this is an Ivy League school. He says, no, you're not going there. Let me make a phone call or 2. So he phones, I don't know who he phoned, Mooney or whoever. And that was it. It was like those forks in the road, right? You're going off this way, and all of a sudden you're going another way. So that's how all that lineage started.
That's a good move, Jimmy.
And then you brought
No,
Natty
that's
with
good.
you.
No, you're right, Cliff. That was a good move.
Yeah, but
Jimmy, I have 2 questions that come out of this. First, was Chris your daughter?
No, Chris is my brother Vince's daughter.
Oh,
Wow.
well, the second question is, was she
Well, just-
tougher than you are?
But Jimmy, you had what, 12 brothers and sisters or something? And you're the
Yeah,
only
there-
one that went, and so, yeah, they're big families there. You're the only one that went to McGill, right?
No, my other brothers went, right?
All your other brothers?
Howie, weren't you listening to the story, or did you just forget because
No,
it took 5 minutes?
I probably forgot. Yeah, thanks, Bobby.
I can name each of them. You're sitting there, you can't even remember that he had brothers playing. What's wrong with you?
Oh,
My
Lord.
God, Howie.
We're all getting old. We're all getting old.
hey,
What can I
but
do?
Jimmy, you
Yeah.
came with Mike at the same time. So how did?
Well, when that all happened, Mike was going off to Western. I said, Mike, I'm going to McGill there to meet the coach. You want to come? He said, well, I'm not working at the steel plant this weekend. Yeah, I'll come, because flights standby, if you remember standby, return to Montreal was like $44.
Yeah.
So he hopped on the plane, and that was that. So, and Dave Fleiser picked us up at the airport, and we ended up at the Kon-Tiki, if you remember the Kon-Tiki, in the Sheraton there with Malcolm Vince again. And I remember walking out of the Contiki. We must have got there early, but it was a July and the sun was just hot and we had way too much to drink, all of us. But it was one of those really, really good memories that yeah, you don't forget. So that was all
You know,
good.
it's interesting. Like I've always thought this 69 team had something weird and special about it. And that's the kind of ingredient that made that you were going to another school. And if you hadn't gone to McGill, then the Hulker wouldn't have.
No, that's right. Yeah.
So
Then we wouldn't have had all 7 members of the Kalitsa clan come through McGill also.
Amazing.
There you go.
I'm gonna drop, but I'm Avi. I'm my dad's son.
Okay.
Is that
Oh,
what-
there you are. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Well,
Avi.
I have, here's the funny thing. I just want to say a couple things. One is I've never met any of you actually, except for Cliff Moore, because my wife and I were out in Kelowna.
right.
And Cliff is actually the only person I met, unless I was, I must have met maybe some of you at the 87 Vanier Cup when I froze my toes off at Varsity Stadium.
It was worth it. It was worth it to see that
So-
win.
Exactly. So
That's right. That's right.
I might have met a couple of you there with that, and I'll never forget that because he took me and my brother down to Varsity. We watched McGill win, and then we went to the Molson brewery on the lake shore. There was a big party there, and it was just a memory that I've still ingrained in my head. But I just want to say a couple things, which is my dad consistently talks about all of you guys. I know all of what you do and your business or your doctors or your teachers or whatever, or your lawyers, but you're all professionals. And I can actually relate a lot to myself because I went to school in the States. I went to the University of Iowa. I got a swimming scholarship to go there. And to this day, I don't have a team as big as you guys, but there's a good 10 of us that are consistently chatting all day, like literally every day, all the time. And we make it a priority to see each other at least once a year, maybe every 2 years. Unfortunately, with COVID, I was supposed to go to Vegas a couple of years ago to visit them, and then COVID hit. So I can relate a lot to the camaraderie and the bond that you guys have as brothers. Playing athletics and competing in athletics at a very high level. So
It's pretty special.
yeah, it's very special, and it's something that continually.
Anyways. Okay. All right, Avi.
Nice meeting you all.
You're
Thank you,
dismissed.
Avi.
Thank you
Hope to
very
meet you in
much.
person
Thanks
one
for helping
day.
us out, Avi.
No worries. Take care.
Hey,
It's-
Howie, I got two stories to tell.
Well, hang on. Let me start, Bobby. I'll get you.
Go ahead, start, Howie, go ahead.
Okay, all right. Look, I just want to welcome you all. Thank you, Avi.
Leave? You want me to
That's
drop?
great. And really, when Avi was looking at universities to go to, and went to the University of Iowa, I remember talking to the coach there, and I said I want him to have the same kind of experience that I had at McGill with all you guys, playing football, getting an education, and everything. And it's exactly what he got. And you can't ask for anything better. Anyways, I don't have any agenda for today, but I really wanted to just get together and, hey, we've had real reunions over the years, and they've all been great. And now that we're in this COVID situation, and it's more difficult to get these reunions, but all the stuff that we've had over the years from where do we start? Banff and Whistler, Ottawa, Kelowna, Upper New York State, and all the ones that we had in the Montreal area, including the one a little over 2 years ago at Montebello. I mean, it's unbelievable. You won't find another sports team anywhere that's maintained this kind of consistency, this kinds of relationship over so many years. And of course, listen, it all has to do with or a large part to do with the coach. Coach Mooney was what he was, and there's a little bit of Tom Mooney in each of us, and that's what makes us crazy. And thank God we had 3 great assistant coaches with Charlie Bailey, George Alvasatis, and the late Tom Moran. I mean, they're the guys who really kept us sane without going too crazy as we would have with Mooney. And you can't as we get later on in life, we can't thank these our experience enough, because to a large degree, and I found this is what's gotten us through a lot of the difficult situations that we've all experienced. So really, that's all I wanted to say. And well, just one other thing. I wanted to introduce you to my friend Rochelle.
Hi.
Hey, Rochelle.
Hi.
way to go.
Heard all about you.
She's heard all about it. She thinks everything that I tell her is lies, but hey, it's the God's honest truth. And hey, this is wanted her to meet as many of you guys as possible because you are just we don't see each other often, but when we do, it's really, really important. So this is an important event, just like all the other reunions that we've had. So those are just a few comments that I want to have. So okay, I'm gonna turn it over to Bobby.
Well, I've got a couple of stories which I think are going in line with what
I
you're
think
saying,
the
Howie.
meeting's good. The meeting will last until about 11 o'clock, Bob.
No, but this, so
If we're lucky.
this has to be 20 years ago. I
Okay.
was driving up to Toronto we had a friend living there. She was married to some guy and we're driving there and I'm just sitting, I think my wife was driving and I'm getting this really bad feeling. This really bad feeling. And I said, Jesus, there's something about, and we turned the corner and there's that damn varsity stadium. And I just knew it. It was just like this terrible feeling. Anyway, I teach medical students. I'm sure all the docs here have had the same experience. And I remember my first year that I played, I was I was in the depth chart second behind Gavin Wiley, actually. And Gavin blew his knee out on Wednesday night. Thursday, I show up to practice and Tom Moran pulls me aside. He puts his arm around me. He says, son, you're playing Saturday. I said, okay, coach, I'm ready to go. He said, son, I'm going to give you some advice and I want you to understand this. And if you use this, you'll be fine. I said, what? He says, you know your cues? I said, yep. He said, when the play starts, stand there and piss ice water. I looked at him. Every time. He said, son, stand there and piss ice water for a second. Think what you got to do, and then you'll be fine. To this day, each time I have a medical student with me, I take him aside. I say, I played football in college. I had this coach, and he told me, and I tell him the story, and I said, when you're in a situation where nothing's going right or you're not sure what to do, take a second to read your cues, what's going on. You'll make a better decision than running around like a chicken with your head cut off, making mistakes. Anyway, that was a lifelong lesson that he taught me. And I've been in situations many times where, oh boy, and you just take a second and it's amazing the things we've learned.
You have to bring a cup with you in case you have to pee ice water?
Anyway, before we go any further, I have a glass in front of me here.
More.
I want to just take a moment for all of us to just raise a glass to our dear departed friend who just left us. I see that Fran is on the line somewhere.
Fran, I think you have audio now, Fran.
Finally.
And,
To Billy. Finally,
and
there she
thank
is.
you. Thank you
that
very
guy, and I know you do too, but
I
we
gotta
loved
get-
him dearly. He was just a class
Thank
act.
you.
No question.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
to Billy.
Billy.
You're
Anyways, I don't know. That's, again, there's no formal agenda to this or anything, but it's just a really good
Amazing.
time. I see George Alavasatis is there. George,
George.
Yeah.
say hi.
Great. You're really close to the set.
Howie, could I kick in because Bobby just
Go right
spoke?
ahead.
How do I
go
get
right ahead.
audio?
And my story involves the coach and Bobby.
Hey, Bender. That's Bender.
We're
That's
going
Oliver.
back many, many years when we're coming back from Queens to Montreal and we're on the train. And as you all know, my wife is sitting the other side of the table. My wife Liz of 54 years, because I was married while I was in law school. We are on the train and, you get the seats, the two this way and two that facing. Anyways, well, Mooney is sitting here. I'm sitting over here. Bobby Burke is down there. And Liz is here. So Bobby, at least Mooney can't see what Bob is doing vis-a-vis Liz. And we're having all this big discussion, and Mooney's talking about being married and the team and all this kind of stuff. All the while, Burke is making huge faces at my wife and doing all sorts of obscene things, trying to get her to laugh or do something. Anyways, after all the discussion, Liz leaves and goes down and sits with Burke and says what an asshole he is and all that kind of stuff. And Mooney says to me, your wife is a very charming person, but she has a bad attitude.
Oh,
Tom.
Jesus.
Your vendor looks the same.
That's funny. God.
Look
So
at
again,
George.
George,
How do you
George,
keep all
adjust
that
your
hair
camera a
like
little
that,
bit.
George?
We can't
Can
see,
you
we
hear
only
me?
see your note from your nose up.
Can you hear
George.
me?
We can
Yeah.
hear you.
Hey,
George
sure,
Wall.
George.
No, George
I just wanted to
Alvasatis.
say hi to Bobby. Are you in Florida, Bobby?
No, I'm in Western
Oh.
New York in 3 feet of snow.
Oh, no way. All the Americans, they love the snow, eh? Except down in Florida where I am.
Are you in Florida, George?
I'm in Florida, yeah. Good to see
Okay,
you,
enjoy
Brody.
it.
Good to
Good to
see
see you, George, too.
You, Brody, saved my life so many times. It was unbelievable. Shot my ribs with sugar, shot my shoulder with sugar, shot my knee with sugar, kept me alive. What can I say? Two hips, 2 knees. I'm still kicking. 80 years
kicking.
old
Good
next
George.
month.
All right.
Way to go, George.
All right, George.
How are you, George?
Good to
Okay.
see you, friend.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
let me
got,
just-
I got
go
a, I
ahead.
got a question for George Wall, if I can intervene. Because George was on that 69 team. And he was coaching on the 87 team that won. How did the two teams compare? Was there a lot of similarities between the teams, or were
What
they
happened
very
was I
different?
really brought that second team along because I gave them broom ball shoes for the game. So that if we had broom ball shoes in the first game, we would have won that one too. But what can I say? Mooney wouldn't listen to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you
We're
weren't one of his
sorry,
biggest fans.
George.
That was one brutal evening. I think I hurt for 3 weeks after that game. It was like playing on a skating rink
Yeah,
with
yeah.
frozen footprints in it. Oh my God, you didn't want to fall down. It hurt so much.
Well, the interesting thing was in '87, we had to play against UBC. Now you'd imagine UBC, British Columbia, beautiful weather all the time. And the boys come into Toronto, it was below zero weather and a frozen field. And they had to play against a team that had broom ball shoes and Michael Souls. So good luck to them. 47-11 was the final score.
Yeah.
Ah,
It's
And,
still the
and as
largest.
Avi told you, he and his brother froze watching that game. But I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah.
So George, I'm just wondering, was there a big difference between the two, like in terms of, I don't know, style or character or brotherhood, or were there similarities
difference
between
was-
them?
When Bobby played at McGill in '69, he weighed about 190 pounds or 215 pounds. And when I went to McGill in '87, the smallest guy was 300.
We could clean their clock. Don't.
But
but slow, Howie.
I very much doubt it.
But in those 18 years, the size of the rosters would have gone up at least 20 players. We played with 32 players. I'm not even sure if 32 dressed.
That was another story, Gordy. I'm glad you brought that up. We were a little thin, shall we say. God.
And you guys all played two ways, right? Like in '87, there weren't any two-way players, but we had I remember it was 57 on the roster.
Yeah, I mean, there's a
87.
huge difference. The game's totally different now.
Yeah,
And now the rosters are over 90.
that's why I
Howard,
say
this
this
is
is a
Dan.
magic team, Earl. This group of guys are magic. We just got screwed up pretty bad right at the
Hey,
end.
Earl. I
Howard,
remember one game we were playing against Queens, and I was a backup receiver, and we were going towards Pine Avenue. And the guy, I forget who it was injured, so the coach put me in. And Glenn St. John called my number for a look-in pass. And I turned and looked, and all I saw was the sun right beside one of the turrets on the Royal Victoria Hospital. The ball hit me right between the eyes. I never saw it. He chewed me a new rear end after. Oh my God. Red
Bob,
east, west, and
Bob,
I
if
was
you
looking
turn
back.
your head, if you turned your head sideways, the ball would have stuck in the ear hole. and you
In
would
the
have had a
hole, because those
reception,
ear holes
you know?
were this
Yeah,
big on
just
those
like that.
helmets, yeah. But geez, I still remember that. All I saw was a sun and the ball hit me right between the eyes. Oh my God.
Did he ever throw you another pass after that?
Never, never. He chewed me a new asshole. Man, was he pissed at me. Oh God.
Sorry to interrupt. It's Avi again. I asked my dad to let me in for a quick second.
Not for long.
I want to show you guys something.
Oh, you got my jersey. Oh, there's my
Nice,
jersey.
number
Oh,
25.
My
Way to go,
There he
Abby.
is.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Is that
Mr.
the
Bill's
original
gonna send you a
jersey?
bill for that
Yeah,
one. Howie,
this-
they're still looking for
Abby,
those.
They're
give
still
your
looking
dad,
for it.
Howie, did you,
Abby, give
You
your
gotta
dad
keep
your
it, Howard.
mosquito and get him to wear it.
Is that an original jersey or is it a remake?
This,
Yeah.
this is
No,
original. This is
That's my
dad's.
original.
I
Howie,
noticed
did
that
you,
it's not torn up or marked up very much.
Oh, no,
I
no,
guess,
no,
I
it
guess
is,
your
it
dad
is.
must not have played
It
very
Hey,
much.
I had the dirtiest sweater on the team at the end of every game. Come on.
Howie,
guys
did
know
you,
that.
did you wear short sleeves?
Howard, I like that. It's not marked up very much.
Bye,
I
everyone.
think I remember
Take care,
Howie
Abby.
getting a penalty for hitting someone with his purse.
Oh, you must have missed it. Avi was on and he had my red jersey.
Good to see you, Domer.
Howard,
Yeah,
Howard, let's hear from George Alivasatis
Yes,
and
sir, we
Fran.
need George.
George.
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
George, hey.
Send some smoke meat over, will you?
You don't get old, eh?
I try. How's everything with you, George? George A.
Everything's still on the right side of the grass.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Peter, you look like a teenager.
Yeah, thank you. I did want to tell the boys something very quickly. Some of you know, most of you may know, my twin brother passed away a couple
Oh,
of months ago
oh, sorry to hear that.
after had a long illness, and he's brave to the end. I don't think we had a more loyal fan, because they used to phone me on a Thursday. He'd say, I'm coming up. He'd drive all the way down from northern Toronto, from north of Toronto. And as soon as the game would be over, he'd jump in his car and drive back. I don't know how many times he did that, maybe
Oh,
15 or 16 times at least.
I remember, Pete, I remember you told a story that he came, I think it was to Western or something like that. And and he was walking around or something like that. And Mooney saw him and thought it was you.
Yeah. The trouble was my brother,
Yell and scream at him.
the trouble was how my brother had a smoke in the mouth.
Oh, yeah, that was it. That was it. Yeah.
Mooney was the head of the Temperance League, so it didn't go down well,
Ah, boy, that's funny. Oh dear.
Oh, no.
I don't know if anybody remembers Oli Segator. Oli Segator was my football coach down in Marieville, Quebec. When I played with the French Canadian guys in the intermediate football league before I went to McGill. And Oli used to say, have a smoke and a Coke before you play, because you want to be hungry all the time. And then I can remember giving my steak to Bender every time we went to McGill breakfast with the eggs, bacon, and steak, and peas and carrots. And Bender used to eat all my steak the whole time until about week 17, where he sort of said, I shouldn't have 2 steaks in the morning, should I?
Don't believe anything here.
Yeah. Anyways,
Like, yo,
So Howie, Bill McKenna, he was the first guy that responded, I saw. He was
yeah,
supposed to be on,
he's
wasn't
in Spain. He was hoping to be able to do this a little earlier, but I don't know, the
Oh, yeah.
consensus was to use this as the time. He's in Spain. Chris Rumble is in Malta or on his way to Malta. I can't remember which. And gee, that does remind me, Chris had a few words to say, and I better, I don't know if I can read. Chris also had a few words to say in that he was really sort of regretted that he couldn't be here. And, really just, again, like all of us, he thinks so highly of this team. And it's really an important part of it. It still is an important part of his life, as it is for all of us. So, we should all be proud of that. And, Chris he's having a rough time with it because he's been in the middle of all this COVID stuff. Although he's just retired as the emergency physician. I think he's on Vancouver Island someplace. And he's getting tired and a little bit frustrated, and you have to get away.
That ran right there.
Howard, is Kenny Ross or Dave Norcott going to be on the call?
I thought Dave Norcott was.
Dave
But,
Norcott's in Beijing.
Is he still in Beijing?
Yeah. He runs an international school there, and he also has his own school. So I'm not sure.
I didn't realize he was still there.
Yeah, he's still in Beijing.
We all went to McDonald High School, Fran, the three of us.
Isn't that amazing, eh?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Tommy
Is that
McCubbin.
Jerry Goulet?
Yeah,
Jerry.
Jerry. I saw Jerry.
Here's Jerry.
How's Ann doing, Jerry?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Good.
There he is.
He's still in Banff?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
How's the snow in Kelowna? Who am I talking to now?
Well, I'm
Talking to
here.
all of us.
The group.
Everybody. Jerry, one of the funniest stories I ever heard was you telling us all about that ride you had down a mountain in Banff with the bear chasing you. Do you recall?
Oh, yeah. Mountain biking.
Oh, I don't know, could only happen to Jerry. And that reminded Bill of the time when you guys did a lab report, but you were considerably late in handing them all in. And you stuck a whole pile of your late lab reports in the bottom of a pile, and then you went into the guy's office to give him heck for not returning them sooner. And how did this man think you were going to pass if this guy kept a pile of stuff on his desk for the whole term? And maybe he better speed up and get to marking a few things. And then you left his office.
Thinking on my feet.
Oh, geez. Crazy.
So-
Gary, where's Jay? I thought Jay was going to be part of this.
Yeah.
I think he's in Lake Havasu.
Anyways.
Ron Kelly, how's the weather way up north?
Well, I don't know. I'm not there right now, but
Oh.
I'm usually not great at this time. of year.
That's what I was thinking, yeah. Where are you now?
I'm in Ottawa.
You're in
You're still
Ottawa.
doing that?
Good.
You're
Did
still
you
doing that
drive in
gig up
on a
north
truck?
every year?
Yeah, I still work up there quite a bit.
Yeah.
Back
Wow.
and forth now. I lived up there for a few years now.
Yeah, I
live
remember.
Back in
Yeah,
Ottawa, but
I
back and forth.
remember.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's cold in Ottawa too, so
Okay.
it's not much worse up there than it's been here. But
What's Ottawa like tonight? Are you guys safe up there with all the road closures and so on?
well, safe, I guess. But we were in Quebec today. We went up. I took my grandkids skating up there.
Oh,
Took us an hour to drive up to the place and almost 3 hours to drive back. You couldn't get back across the bridges.
oh,
Wow.
I have no sympathy for the truckers.
Well, it's not just truckers. It's
No,
truckers are okay. It's all the other
Idiots.
people have joined
I
in.
should have said the unvaccinated truckers.
Yeah, that's right.
It's only a small percentage. anyway.
Mentally challenged, I believe is the term.
Well, we've got two epidemics going on in the United States. We got COVID and we got stupid. And stupid is that epidemic is ongoing. It is absolutely spread.
It's still on fire down there.
And there's no end in sight to that thing ending down
Oh,
there.
no, that is, you can't believe the stories that people have about, I mean, it's, the last one I heard, I had a 30-year-old guy who told me he was never going to get vaccinated because he gets his advice from one of the Buffalo Bills.
Oh.
Okay,
Well,
I mean, this is
you know,
a source of science. I want a guy banging his head. We all know what it's like, getting your head knocked all week and coming up with great ideas. I mean, I can't, you can't make this stuff up.
Well, listen, here's a few little memories that I just jotted down just to put it on. Probably you don't want to be Doug Walker when Mike Evans is on the field against you. What do you think of that? And you don't want to be an opposition cornerback when George Wall and Dave Fleiser are coming your way on the famous 69 QB option Remember
28
George,
options,
you used,
28
George
options.
used to wave the ball into the corner's face, and then the poor
29.
corner didn't know what the hell to do. Don't be an opposition defensive lineman when Charlie's Angels, Charlie as in Charlie Bailey, Charlie's Angels need some yards. Inside traps, off tackles, sweeps or passes, the O-line delivered. We were small but tenacious, and we loved Charlie. Don't mess with Bob Burke. Don't mess with Bob Burke. He will stick you hard. Right, Bobby? Stick him. Ouch. Don't catch a pass when the Redmond deep backs have you in their sights. The games the D-line work made it really tough for running backs trying to get through to you. If you tried to block them, you paid the price. The Redmond team were very tough because we trained tough. We lived through 3-a-day practices at the start of the season. Nobody did
Yeah, no,
3-a-day practices. That's crazy.
the departments, the bills.
Yeah.
Store.
We had that steep north stand of Molson Stadium, and we probably ran up and down that about 1 million times, and that made a big difference for us. We had full gear, full speed, heavy practices. That doesn't happen, I don't think. We did it. And
Wednesday night scrimmages.
yeah, we did it.
Monday lights.
We pushed the sleds and did D versus O combat in the cage, Charlie's cage. Anyway, so the reason I asked about Bill McKenna is he when we were playing Western during the season, that's when I got my leg broken, and 1 minute to go in the game, and we were well ahead, and a guy just clipped me, and there goes the knee, or not the knee, sorry, the leg, the fib. I have a lasting memory of Bill coming up to me on the field and standing over me and saying, "Moore, get up, Moore." like I could, but I was broken. So anyway, that didn't work. So the reason I'm telling you this story is that Bill is a renowned cardiologist, as you know. And on the 7th of February, which is just a week away, I have a cardiologist who's going to perform hopefully life-changing procedure for me of an open heart surgery to repair and replace a valve. So I sort of think about Bill 52 years ago, and I'm lying on the grass of Molson Stadium, and when I wake up from my sleepy gas there next week, I'll absolutely be thinking of Bill saying, "Get up, Moore, get up." So there you go.
I wonder if
Bill, Cliff, best of luck for next week.
Yeah, best of luck.
Thank you.
All the best, boy.
This really
And
just,
I'm sure you'll do well.
And by the way, keep us posted how it goes.
Yeah.
I will for sure. I only found out a few days ago that I could get this, because getting into an OR is no
Yeah.
easy task.
Go, Moo Cow.
Yeah,
We'll be thinking of you, Cliff.
thank you. Well, I think of you guys all the time, so. there's
Howie,
gonna be work to do.
unfortunately, I have to leave because we have some guests here. And Cliff, I'll send you an email because we are coming to Kelowna in March.
Great, Sal. Look
Okay.
forward to it.
All right, good to see you, Sal.
Hi, Sal.
Yes,
Bye,
Good
Sal.
luck to you.
Boom.
Okay.
I just wanted to say a few words. Howard, firstly, thank you very much for organizing this virtual event. And, you know, I and you also said, you know, think about what you're going to say. And, you know, this team and all, you know, the players, obviously, you know, our offensive line, we're a little closer than perhaps with some of the other players. But, you know, this is one of the, you know, for me, and why we keep meeting is it's like a pivotal event. You know, you look at these high points in your life, and I've always felt that playing for the Redmen playing with all you guys was a high point for me. And it's really interesting. We've had, I don't know, 8 or 9 reunions. We never won a championship, 8 or 9 reunions, and just sort of reinforces the fact that life's a path. It's not the end result. And, our experience was all those things we went through with Mooney and all that. So you weren't expecting a comment like that from me. I bet you guys, right?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, you guys did win a championship.
Yeah, we did win a
You
championship.
guys won a championship.
Yates
Yeah, won
Cup.
the Yates Cup.
Mike,
Yeah.
all I expected from you was a challenge in the cage again.
And the Atlantic Bowl. Don't forget the Atlantic Bowl, which we got it on.
Yeah, I know. I got picked up. I had septicemia, and anyway, we soldiered on. But it's okay. When I look at we went through that whole difficult period where the name changed, and I was not happy about that. And I did say I'm not going to contribute to McGill again, and I've changed my mind on that. I am going to for sure now. And the woke crowd, the world's changed, and that's all there is to it. But I got to tell you, I'm not sure how Tom Mooney would like the name Redbirds. Are you kidding? Redbirds? Is that the best we could do? Scott Stewart and I have joked about that.
Let me.
You thought Les
Can I respond?
Bonhommes Rouges would be a good name, right?
Let me just tell you a bit about the Redbirds, just so I can give some perspective, because I've spoken to quite a number of Redmen, and I'm opposed to the name change myself.
So,
trying to explain.
Earl, let me just say, listen, I'm not bringing it up. I'm not complaining. You don't have to justify the name. I was trying to make a little bit of a little levity out of the name, and it is what it is. That's okay.
No, but I just wanted, just so it's clear, because when I explain it to a few guys, they say, oh, I never thought of it from that perspective, and it makes perfect sense. So I just thought, here's an opportunity. Maybe I'll just give a 30-second version of the name. Obviously, it's a longer, more complex story. We had to change the name, looking for different names. I wasn't on the committee, but I did submit a number of different options. Anyway, with the name Redbirds, it was used by McGill in the 30s for their ski team, which won an international championship over in Kandahar, I think it was. So that was in McGill's history. The 3 birds on the McGill crest are Redbirds. Martlets, they're Redbirds. And we have a basketball tournament that goes on every year, although it hasn't gone in the last 2 years because of COVID. It's called the Redbird Classic. It's been around since early 90s. And also with Redbirds, the name of our sports shop that sells gear in the gym is called the Redbird Sports Shop. So there's a lot of tie-ins to the Red Bird. And I think the committee, as I say, I wasn't part of it. I think they just felt that was the one that was the most logical of all the different options that were out there, because it tied into our past. And the baseball team won 3 or 4 national championships using the name Redbirds in the 80s and 90s.
Earl, thanks for that. I'll always be a Redmond, however.
Yeah, and so will I. Even though I never played, I'm still a Redmond.
Earl, you don't realize all the guys sitting on this screen, like who was it mentioned that, Cliff mentioned that game against Western. I got memories of that game. Every guy on this call and everybody else, every game we all have memories of those times, and it doesn't really matter. We all know where we were, who we were, and what we did, and what it meant for us.
Yeah.
And I think if you look at our contribution over the years, and we all continue to contribute to these funds, we understand what this did for us. It certainly changed, as Mike was saying, the trajectory of our lives. We've all been the better for it. We learned, even in losing that final game, which I still am pissed off about. It was an experience, and you learn from these things, and you go on in life to become a better human being, hopefully.
Well, you know what? George just explained something to me that I've often wondered about. We didn't have proper footwear for our
You think, Chris?
Yeah, but I didn't realize that the '87 team did have the right footwear.
Yeah.
And
well,
that would have made one of the things that hurt us
I'll tell you one thing, Cliff, about that 87. I was there when they had that issue with the footwear. They went out for the pregame warm-up in 87 and the ground was frozen.
Yeah.
And I believe, if I remember right, the day before when they went out for practice, it wasn't frozen.
Yeah.
It had gotten significantly colder. So I remember Charlie Bailey asking around about broom ball shoes. And I remember that
The thing is, I got to tell you what the story is. I brought the broom ball shoes from John Abbott College. We had 28 pairs of broom ball shoes that I brought with me. And when we went out to practice, I said to Souls, try these shoes on and see if they're any better. He said to me, Coach, they're perfect. So
and so Coach Bailey asked, because he needed more shoes, right? You guys dressed 40 players, so we needed more shoes. So I was there near the dressing room with Rob Watt, who was our administrative services guy.
Got more broom ball shoes. That's right.
Rob, Charlie Bailey told Rob to go buy some broom ball shoes, and Rob said, "Well, I don't have any money for that. Where's the money coming from?" He said, "You have a credit card? Use a credit card. We'll solve the money problem later. Put it on a credit card." So he went down Yonge Street. And he was driving along in the team bus, just Rob and the driver, and they passed by a store that says Souls Shoes. And he went in there and he bought every pair of broom ball shoes that he could find. And he came back and we got him during the warm-up, or even after the warm-up when they arrived.
How do they know they were the right sizes?
He just said, get every size you can from whatever.
My experience with shoes at McGill was the second year I was playing at McGill. I asked Mooney, can I get a new pair of cleats? He says, what size, he says, why? There's none of the cleats here are any good for you. No, so Coach, I need a new pair of cleats. He says, what size are your feet? I said, size 12. He says, Jesus Christ, we got the smallest lineman with the biggest feet.
Howard, Dan.
What?
Howard.
Don't mention. That's terrible.
Can't hear you, Dan.
I'd like to hear from George Elvisatis, Howard.
Yes. Well, speak to George. Tell George.
Dan.
George, Jimmy, everybody, how are you?
Hi, Dan.
Good.
Hey, George. Good to see you.
You got the floor, George. Go nuts.
Yeah, and you're making the big salary in Hamilton.
All right, guys, I gotta go. I got family waiting, so good to see you all. I wanted to show you, I just got off the golf course, so
that's too bad. Sorry to hear that, Norm.
Out in California, come out and check us out.
Yeah.
Good to see you all. Thanks for setting it up.
Okay.
Norm, where are you located in California?
Just outside of San Francisco.
Oh, you're near my brother. My brother's in Walnut Creek.
Oh, yeah, we're not far from there.
Okay.
Yeah. So anytime you're out, anybody, for sure.
Oh, good.
Thanks, Norm. You take care.
Thank you,
Good to
Norm.
see you,
Norm.
Good to see you all.
Okay, bye, Norm.
Be safe.
Hey, Fran, how are you holding up?
I'm doing fine, thank you. I have my moments, but on the whole, pretty good, because it was just such a shock, you know?
Oh,
Yes.
of course,
Yeah.
of course.
It was some kind of a heart issue that I think probably, when I look back on things, probably it was due to his autonomic neuropathy issues.
Mhm.
I know the doctor felt really badly. He thought perhaps the chemo affected the heart, but no, Bill had this heart stuff in July, well before the chemo. So I think it was his autonomic neuropathy, and it was just sort of escalated from there. But I have to say, I did pick up his urn with his ashes in it, and I had a little conversation with Bill, and I said, geez, Bill, you must be eating awfully well. This urn, it weighs a ton. I can barely get it out of the car. But anyway, I know he was so thrilled to be part of your team. Talked about it a lot.
Yeah.
Best athlete I ever played with, no question.
Oh, isn't that nice? Thank
No
you.
question.
Good guy, really good guy.
Good guy for sure.
Hey, Gordy Cleland, how are you? You want to give us a little?
I'm doing good, Mike, thanks. As you know, probably the only one, I had my hip replaced in November.
Oh.
And that's gone well.
Oh, good.
Anybody who's contemplating it, I endorse it. I mean, the first 2 weeks weren't any fun, but since then it's been better and better every day. I did want to talk to Bobby I have a suggestion on our scholarship. You know, I guess it started with Kenny. I think at this point, maybe we should make it sort of a team scholarship as we're all getting on.
Older. Mhm.
And, you know, I just think that many of us are willing to contribute on death.
We have two, there's two scholarships, Gordy, one of them is in Kenny Aiken's name, and it's, there's about $100,000 that's there now, so it's permanently endowed. And then the other scholarship is the Mooneymen, which is close to $200,000.
Wow.
Which gives, so there's almost, between the Kenny Aiken one and the Mooneymen one, there's almost, I think there's, Earl can probably correct me, but there's either 3 or 4 scholarships a year that are going out, I think, Earl.
I would say at least 2 per endowment, at least.
Yeah, I think there's 2 on the Mooneymen and 1 for Kenny. So, I mean, I think what we can continue to contribute under the Mooneymen, because that's what we were known as, you know. So I was going to sort of pick it up again and get back to everybody and see if they can make another pledge for, see if we can't get them, you know, get another scholarship out of it.
Just so you know, when we have an endowed scholarship, we have either 2 or 3 or 4 people, depending on how much interest it generates. We don't touch the capital, we can't touch that, but whatever interest it generates is what we give out in scholarship money every year for all of our endowed scholarships. So if it grows big, it produces more scholarships per year.
That's great.
Bobby Taylor, did they give out the scholarship for the COVID year when the football team didn't play?
Yes, they honored the scholarships going right through. They didn't stop because
across all sports, we gave out our scholarships that we're committed to. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Well, Bobby, do you have an idea of what it would take to at least get one more, you know, scholarship out of that? I don't know what they're earning. You know, what they're earning. They're probably earning. I don't know what the endowment.
They don't earn very much, but I think Earl, if I'm not mistaken, it's around $80,000 for it to be endowed. Is that?
Yeah, to start an endowed scholarship is 80,000, and that generates, well, I don't know what the current interest rate is, but it's about 4% or 5% in interest, maybe even lower. And so that interest rate is what we use to give out the scholarship.
Right. What's the difference between starting a new scholarship or just continuing to add to the existing ones?
If you're asking me, I would say it probably is not a difference because the money will generate interest and we use the interest.
Yeah, I mean, if it builds up, you can start offering somebody, you know, another grant or you know, some kind of scholarship to an additional person.
But Howie, I don't think it's endowed until it gets to a certain level, like 80,000.
Yeah, it has
until or that's the minimum.
Yeah,
you know, we're probably like on the Mooneymen fund, we probably are like maybe almost 2.5 scholarships, you know. So if we contribute to the Mooneymen fund, we can probably bump that up so that we'll have like 3 full scholarships.
So what do we need to put in there?
I'm not sure, but we can probably get that number, Earl?
Yeah, I'd have to go through Ryan Kelly, who does our
okay, so I'm in touch with Ryan. I'll get in touch with Ryan and I'll get something out to everybody. But it's probably, you know, we're probably halfway there on a 3rd scholarship in the Mooneymen fund.
Yeah. The problem we have with, you know, this low interest rate environment is, you know, it requires so much capital in order to fund a scholarship. And, you know, the other alternative is saying, okay, we're going to raise a certain sum of money and we're going to pay it out over 5 years, the interest and the principal, pay it out, get some, you know, it'll have more utility than, you know, a 3 or 4% return, like $3,000 on $100,000. Like, anyway, that's my personal view is we look at maybe a fund that we're going to pay it out over a period of time.
Well, you know, the coach has spoken to me about seeing if, and Ryan Kelly spoke to me about seeing whether we would be interested in doing just that, to give him some money that they can use to fund the current football operation for things that are not covered by McGill. And, you know, if we raised, you know, $10,000 or $15,000 a year for 5 years, that would go a long way to them having additional funds for when they're on the road and things like that. So that's another alternative, rather than, you know, you're right, at 3% interest, it's $80,000 is a lot of capital that just sits there. So maybe we could look at doing something to help the football team out on a current basis for the next 3 or 4 years or 5 years by pledging a certain amount per year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It just seems to me during our lifetime, that's what we want to do is see the impact of, you know, so we're able to do, if we're able to do something, then that's what I'd like.
All right,
Like
guys, Pat Ramming is about to join.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Patrick,
From the Bahamas. There he is.
Yeah.
There he is from the Bahamas.
How
wow.
are you, Pat? We can't
Pat,
see
you there?
I don't see it.
Yeah, there he
There
is.
he
Hey,
is.
there he is. Hey, good to see you, buddy.
1 minute.
He looks like
One
the Prime
minute.
Minister.
Not yet. He's there. He's there.
Oh, you can switch it.
He's walking away now.
Scared him off.
Hey, Pat, there he is.
Yes.
There he is.
Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute.
All that talk about money has scared him off.
We can make a little music.
We saw his arm.
Watching
And he
the
walked away.
championship game.
Oh, there he is.
There he is. All right.
Hey,
Hey,
Pat.
hey,
well,
way to
Pat,
go.
good to see you,
Hey,
buddy.
Pat, how are you?
Let me explain why I'm so late. Two things happened. One was that I started watching the NFC Championship, and then when I jumped up, I couldn't find this link, and that was because my computer, which is much smarter than me, had placed this email into the trash after searching
so
for almost.
smart.
After searching for almost an hour, it had happened before for something else, so I decided I would just check it. I just found it, so I apologize.
Great to have you, Pat.
Glad
Good
you're
to see
here.
you, buddy.
Good to see you, Pat.
Yes, well,
Hey,
it's
Pat,
good to see you guys.
Pat, you have, in my mind, you had the fanciest footwork I've ever seen by a receiver. And you did it in the stands when you had that cup of coffee and you almost ended up rolling.
And I
down the
almost,
field.
that's right.
was-
It was very fancy, I agree.
It was very fancy.
Yeah. No, I haven't gotten much better, but I've learned to live with it a little bit.
Are you
I'm
still
pro-
working, Pat? You're an architect.
I
right?
am
You
still,
working?
well, I am still working. I own my firm, so the question of retirement doesn't exist. I do relatively small stuff, but I am still working. Yeah.
Good for you.
Unfortunately, if you'll all remember my beautiful wife that was with me last year, she had 3 strokes, and on October 21st, the third one took her from me.
That's too bad.
So I've been
Sorry to hear that.
I've been trying to figure out how to make life meaningful without her.
You'll get it done, Pat. I'm speaking from experience.
Well, I've noticed a couple of guys in the chats from time to time that have had the same kind of thing. Yeah, but it's other than that, it's been a fantastic life for me.
Yes.
And if anybody
great.
wants,
Glad to hear it.
wants to find out a little bit about what I've been doing, The two things you can do is you can just Google my name on Google and you'll find a bunch of stuff. But I have a couple of blogs that I like. I write a lot. I've written a couple of books, some poetry, some philosophy.
Wow.
I've written 2 books on tourism because that's one of my sort of passions these days. Architecturally, I've had a lot of fun. I've designed a number of nice projects over the years and won a couple of awards and things like that. But generally, it's been a wonderful time. So,
Pat, if I may interrupt here, I was not surprised that you showed up late to this meeting because if I remember correctly, there was very few practices, I remember, where you were the first guy on the field. I don't want to bring that up.
I had a life.
Remember that.
I had a life.
Well, Pat,
It didn't include Mooney.
Pat, I gotta tell you something because right at the end of my computer consulting career, I was dealing with this woman from this software company, and we were talking and found out she was from the Bahamas. I said, "Oh yeah, I know one guy from the Bahamas, Pat Ramming." She says, "Oh, I know who he is." She knew you as a singer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're still
I
singing.
am.
You're still
Yep.
singing.
Yeah, you remember I used to sing at the yellow door.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
my
yeah.
God.
No,
Yeah.
the
Cafe
shrine.
Andre.
The shrine. The shrine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what happened was when I got home, I continued doing that, and it blossomed into a little bit of a recording career for a while. And because I was a solo who was comfortable getting on stage without much rehearsal, the national troupe would take me to all these festivals and things all over the world. Because they could always throw me on stage when they had a problem. So it ended up that I ended up winning again a number of awards for music, and
That's great.
officially I'm now known as a national treasure.
Oh.
Wow.
Here,
Oh,
here.
boy.
All right.
All right.
And we all know it's better in the Bahamas.
So
Of
the other
course.
national treasure, Bobby Burke, it was George Springate. And
Oh,
Jesus.
George
Wonderful.
came
Oh
up.
my
I
God.
got
A wonderful person.
Yeah, I think so.
Every now and then in the Globe and
everything's
Mail,
going on.
someone puts a remembrance of George, who passed away a number of years ago. But yeah, it's good old George, or the springboard, we used to call him.
Yeah. If you remember, he actually went on and, at least for a short while, kicked for the Alouettes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He won a Grey Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's on a Grey Cup winning team.
Yeah.
I knew him well.
Howard, if I may interrupt, I'm going to check out now. Mr. Sandman is coming. However, if I might take a minute.
Go ahead. Take 2 minutes, Dan.
I'm sorry.
Take 2 minutes.
Well, I will. I just wanted to remember some of our fallen brethren and, guys that made a big difference in my life, the same as you all have. Nice to see the senior elements of our group back out. George Alivasatis, I still haven't heard him utter a word, but maybe we will at some point. And Dr. Hugh Brody, the seniors, it seemed like there were old guys and young guys on our team. And the old guys sort of looked after the young guys, and they were watched by the bosses who were Big George and Tom Mooney and Charlie, of course, Charlie Bailey and Tom Moran. But first comes to mind to me is Bill Holt, our latest loss. The heart goes out to Fran.
Thank you, Dan.
She's suffering, but she's a strong lady and she'll carry on. Kenny Aiken, my wife liked him more than me. Yeah. Heart goes out to Christine. Let me see, who else have we got? Steve Neville.
Steve Neville.
You know, just a name from the past. He didn't strike a big bow wave, but he left a large wake behind him. A real gentleman. Who else do I have here? Oh, Tom Mooney and Peg. Tom Moran, Willie Lambert, Jerry Apostolatus, Gus Curry. I didn't know Gus very well, but yeah, Gus Curry, I remember him, always missed. And from other years, Don Cooper. Who can forget Coop?
Yeah.
Actually lived with him.
When did, I didn't know Coop had died. When did he pass?
It's a couple of years ago now, eh, Bobby?
Well, probably 5 or 6 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, he had.
Yeah, I got to go up and see him. He had pancreatic cancer, and I flew up there with 2 other friends of his. We got to spend 2 or 3 days with him before he passed away. He was a great guy. He would have loved to have been on the 69 team. I think it just ached that he couldn't be there, but he was a great guy.
Yeah.
Super guys.
One other guy that comes to mind is Marty Hughes.
Oh yeah, Marty.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
There's a picture of us all. We had a game against U of T, I think, and Marty had just passed, and that was the '69 big game against the Blues.
Anyway, I know, there are others, yes, but that's where I'll leave you. And thank you, Howard, for putting this together.
My pleasure, Dan. Good to see you. Keep
Danny
well.
boy, good to see you, buddy. Boy.
Good to see you, Dan.
Great to see
Hey,
you.
Howard.
The Picton Prince. Always a
Ramming,
Prince.
especially you.
Hey, Howard. I had a conversation last week with Dick Feidler, who played
Oh, yeah.
65,
Oh,
66.
Dick
He
Feidler.
played at Syracuse and he was in dental school.
Yeah.
And I had a conversation. He's living in Pennsylvania, and we had a long conversation about some of the games down in Queens and stuff like that. I reminded him, and you guys will love this one. Queens had this Jimmy Young, who went on to play for the Minnesota Vikings. He was their golden boy, and he took a handoff and came around at our right end, and Peter Howlett was the defensive end on that side, and it jammed everything up. So Young cut back and turned right up to center, and Feidler was the other defensive end, and he came along the line of scrimmage and turned up right as Young was turning up, and they met head to head. And Feidler put the forearm and the helmet into Jimmy Young, and Young did a somersault backwards. I mean, he hit him so hard he put him into the cheap seats. And we were in Kingston, and you could have heard a pin drop in the place. This was their golden boy. I thought Feidler had killed the guy the way he hit him. And I talking to Feidler, I reminded him about that, and he was chuckling. He says, "Oh, I remember that one. Yeah, I mean."
Bobby Burke, I'm glad you brought that up. I meant to ask about Dick Feidler.
Yeah, Dick is doing
Because
very,
I was
very
always
well.
enthralled.
He's amazing, the stuff he sends me, the writing and the reading the guy's doing. Totally amazing, into science and everything else. He's he's still very, very active,
Gracious enough to host the reunion over at your place there. I met him there for the first time.
He's a really nice guy.
Him than he did about himself. Because I like following.
He played with Ernie Davis.
Oh, you guys.
Yeah, he played with Ernie Davis in the Cotton Bowl when they went down. Syracuse went down and beat University of Texas in the Cotton Bowl. Davis set a Cotton Bowl record on the first play from scrimmage, 84 yards. This black guy in that time, he said there wasn't a sound in the stadium. They couldn't believe it. Yeah. Anyway.
There's a good story.
He had great stories. Yeah.
Anyway, bless you all. Thank you for
All right.
Good to see you, Dan.
Danny,
Thank
take
you very much.
Hey,
Right.
Dan.
over and
Howie,
out.
one of my heroes that hasn't said a word yet, that's Jack Sutton. Dr. Sutton, you got any words to say?
I think he might have left us.
Where'd he go? Blackjack. Where'd he go?
Blackjack's left.
What happened? We haven't heard from, where's Dan Smith? Is he still there?
Right here.
There he is.
There he
Haven't heard
is.
from you yet.
Well, I've relocated. I'm now living, my wife and I are living in Scottsdale, Arizona. Relocated here October 28th, 2021. I took a part-time job as general legal counsel for a boutique investment firm down in Scottsdale. So I might be here for a while, but I do have a,
Warm by
you can
down
probably
there.
guess that
But
I've
then
got 1,000 Mooney stories, but I'll tell you my first one. When Tom first got a hold of me, I was 17. And he said, well, you know, you should come down and visit us at McGill. And he said, get on the train. It was a Saturday. And so I went to Montreal and I said to him on the phone, Coach, how am I going to know you? And he said, don't worry, you'll know me and I'll know you. So anyway, he picks me up and he was exactly like he said. And then he says to me, now, do you want to take a cab up to McGill or do you want to walk? And I said, well, I'm not going to act like a wimp. So I said, well, we'll walk. So he decided that when we're going up Pine Avenue, he would walk about 7 yards ahead of me. And then we're almost up to the top of Pine and he turns around and says to me, Dan Smith, are you any good? But I could tell you 1,000 stories about me and Mooney because we spent so much time together, because he would always be tracking me down and have me over to his office and we'd be watching films. I could tell you 1,000 stories, but anyway, that's my...
Write a book, Danny. Write a book.
I could write a book about me and Mooney. I mean, I spent a ton of time with the guy.
Can I tell you guys? Can I tell you guys a Mooney story?
Hold on, just Pat, 1 second. 1 second, Pat.
Yep.
Mike Nanny just joined.
Yes, sorry.
Mike Nanny.
Hey,
Mike Nanny's here.
Good. Thank you. Good to hear all your voices and the stories. Great.
Mike
Don't let me
Nanny.
interrupt. Hey, how you doing, Bobby?
Okay, Pat, carry on.
Yeah, there's a Mooney story that you guys would not have known. I don't know if you remember that I also used to high jump. I high jumped for McGill for the first couple of years I was there. And after I joined the team, I still expected to go to the intercollegiate and high jump again. So I walked up to Mooney on the side of the field. And I said to him, Coach, I'm not going to be out next week because I'm going to be jumping at Queens or wherever it was. He didn't say a word for about 15 seconds. And then he turned to me. He turned to me, and you know how he used to put his thumbs in his belt? Put his thumbs in his belt. He looked at me for about 10 seconds, and then he looked away and said, Paramin, you're going to have to decide whether you're going to run track or play football. And he walked off. Never said another word. That was the end of my high jump career.
Was it a good choice, Pat? I mean, were you going to?
Oh, absolutely. I had gotten to a point where I was kind of bored. When I came to join the team, I had actually just come back from jumping in the Commonwealth Games.
Wow.
I represented the Bombers at the Commonwealth Games in 1966. Which is why you guys got fooled, you see. You thought I was fast. I was just in shape. But
Yeah, the
that was the end of my high jump career because at that point I was kind of bored.
You must have influenced Mooney on that one because we had this guy called John Naponic who came out the year after. I think he came out in 70. He was 6'9" and 320 pounds.
Wow.
He was an all something or other from the States. And so he came out, he played a couple of the preseason games, but he went to Mooney and he said, I'm in medical school and I'm not going to be able to make all the practices. Is that okay? And Mooney said basically to him what he said to you, which is, football or suck it up. So he quit football. But meantime, Mooney also coached basketball.
Basketball, yeah.
And when John Naponic went to play basketball, Mooney said, just come out for the games. Go figure. He learned his lesson.
Yeah, and they went to the Nationals because they had Naponic on the team.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you sounded like you were describing Brian Rose.
Oh,
Yeah.
don't talk.
Yeah, Brian was a big one.
Don't remember him.
Yeah. He played, I think he may have only played 1 year. I don't know.
Oh, I think he
66
played
team.
more than that.
66, I think, was his last year.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Because I remember
They
in
couldn't
Toronto,
find a helmet big enough to fit him.
Oh, you should have seen
Toronto,
the
he-
helmet he had. Oh my God.
he took me to a big shoe store in Toronto.
Oh,
I
this
used,
is Beach Boy.
Oh boy.
yeah, I used to have trouble finding shoes at that point, and I was kind of embarrassed to be walking in and asking for a size 13 shoe. Brian walks in and asks the guy, "Where are the 16s?"
Well, that was like Naponic. Mooney got Naponic a shirt and shoes. And the shoes were like 19s or something.
Yeah.
And the shirt was so big. And I remember Chris Rumble put it on one day. And, the sleeves were dragging on the ground.
Gentlemen, I'm going to have to leave. Nice to see you all. And since Mike has joined, I don't know if people would be able to stomach 2 people from the Sioux, so I'll let Mike take on. In any event, everybody take it easy. Nice to see you all. And
Good
thanks.
seeing you, Jimmy.
Yeah, good to see you, Jimmy.
Take care, Jimmy.
Cliff's going to pull the pin.
He didn't
too
go to
here, guys.
Dartmouth.
Howie, thanks for organizing this.
Are you
Fantastic.
about ready?
Yeah.
It's probably past
Yes, Howie.
it's probably past all our bedtimes.
That's it.
And now that I have everybody's email address, don't be surprised if you get a little something from me from time to time.
Don't worry.
Great.
So I want to hear.
By the way,
I want to hear from Dr. Brody before we all break up here. Doc,
Yeah.
I haven't seen you in a bit. How you doing? And what's happened? What are your greatest recollections from that era?
Well, I was the team doctor. I started when I was an intern. Dr. Crutchlow just grabbed me one day in the Montreal General. I was 3 months out of medical school, and he said, "How would you like to take the Redmen to Toronto tomorrow?" And I said, will you be there? No, he said, "You handle it by yourself. Here, take my doctor bag." Had a stethoscope and a otoscope in it. And he said, "You'll know what to do." And fortunately, no one got hurt up in Toronto, but that's how I started. And I did it for 28 years. But your team was the most fun and the best team that I ever traveled with or ever was a doctor with. It was great. I did football and hockey, but your team, the way you've stuck together, and thank you very, very much for inviting me. I admire you guys very, very much, and I appreciate you asking me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hugh, I have a story. I have a story for you about Ted Percy. Ted, was our orthopedist, and Oh, I have two stories, but Ted was, so I had this patient out in the Eastern Townships who came from Westmount, and he was one of the Westmount Scots. And he was walking one morning and fell through a sewer. Someone had left the drain on a sewer, the cover on a sewer, and he fell through and landed on his elbows and jammed his shoulder.
Oh.
And he was a patient of Percy's. So at 8 o'clock in the morning, he walks into Percy's office, and Percy's in there doing some notes. And he says, "Dr. Percy, I was out walking this morning and I fell through the sewer." And Percy looked at him and said, "Did you see Ed Norton?" Oh my God.
Ed Norton.
Oh my God. Only Percy could do something like that. Oh God. And I remember we were working with Greenwood, and we're working all afternoon in clinic. And we're seeing this lady, the final day of the lady clinic. This lady walks in who's been in a car accident. She's had her femur jammed, and he's done some surgery, and he's had to sew right through a tattoo. And at that time, you didn't see too many women with tattoos. And so at the end of the whole thing, I'm ready to go, and he looks at me and he says, "Beware the tattooed woman." So I remember this, I don't think anything of it. Well, about 5 years ago, I have this patient who was causing a ruckus in my office, and I walk out and she's standing there in the doorway of the exam room, wrapped in just her sheet. She's there for a pap smear or whatever else. So I go in there and she's got piercings and tattoos everywhere and ironware everywhere. And halfway through this, and my nurse is the wife of a minister, okay? And we're standing there, and what's coming out of this girl's mouth is nothing that this girl, and finally she says, "Do you mind doing some STD testing on me?" I say, "Well, what for?" She says, "Well, my boyfriend's wife has been fooling around." And I still remember, beware the tattooed woman. I mean, this woman had ink all over her. Oh my God. Oh my God. Anyway.
What did she say, Bobby? I mean, you were frozen.
Thank you, guys. I'm gonna head out too.
Okay,
Yeah, me
guys.
too. I'm
why
up there.
don't
Take
we
care,
wrap
Jerry.
this up?
Thanks,
All right,
Howard.
everybody. Okay.
Nice
This
job.
was great fun. It's
Take
all,
care.
you're gonna get a link to the recording once I get this
Earl.
organized, and we'll do it again
He's gone.
soon.
That's a
Okay.
good idea.
Good to see you all.
You've got me twice in your mailing list.
Pat,
I do
Good job,
too.
Hallie.
Pat, if you
Sorry.
email anything, send us a song, something that you're singing. It'd be great to hear your voice. Maybe
Okay.
a few notes, like
Well,
10 seconds.
I can do that. I'll tell you what I'll do. Let me see if you Google me,
Okay.
you'll see lists of some of my songs. You can just go ahead.
Okay, all right.
All right.
Great, that'd be great.
Sounds good.
Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send a couple of them to Howie and let Howie circulate them.
Great
How's
idea.
that?
This is what I get for being the computer nerd in the
Yeah,
group.
Howard, it's a great idea. Really
Howie,
good
you
Love to do it. Love to do it, guys.
Howie, you win the award for the best background.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Good one.
And Earl, I got to question you. I heard you when you were talking about the Redbird ski team. You said they won ski races in Kandahar. They won ski races in
I don't know if it's the Kandahar that we know today. It was called the Kandahar something ski race. It was a world ski race they won.
But isn't Kandahar in Afghanistan?
Yeah, I think it's near there, but I'm not sure exactly. I'd have to look it up.
You don't want to go
Yeah,
anywhere.
it was at Garmisch Park in Kirkin, just before
I
the.
don't think it was Garmisch.
Was it?
While we're talking, I'll look it up and I'll find it for you.
Okay. All right.
Wow.
Good seeing Moo.
Take good care.
Okay.
Yeah, good luck.
Okay.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Howie,
Good luck,
guys.
everybody. You guys are gonna finish this
Everybody
off.
stay safe.
Good doctor.
You bet.
Take care.
Take care,
Thanks,
Mike.
Howie.
Thank you
Appreciate
very
it.
My
much.
pleasure.
Thank you, Howie.
Okay.
Good
Okay,
seeing
bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank all of you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Pat,
Here you
great
go,
seeing you.
Pat.
Fantastic.
First time in 50 years.
Great to see you.
Yeah.
Here,
All the best,
I found the thing. It wasn't. It was called the Kandahar Trophy. It was a European international ski meet in Switzerland. Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry. They went to Switzerland. They want to meet. Then they were victorious at the Kandahar Trophy race, which is the closest thing to a world championship tournament. It doesn't say where it was in this article that I have, so I can't tell you where it was. But it was called the Kandahar Trophy race.
Wow.
Okay.
This was 1932-33 season. So it would have been in the winter of 33 when they won this.
Good to know.
Okay, good to
Hey,
know.
Earl,
Thank you,
just-
Earl.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. It was,
Okay, thanks,
always
everybody.
enjoyable.
Thanks
Thanks,
a lot,
Howard.
everybody.
See you
Well,
later, guys.
everybody.
Thanks, Howie.
Thanks,
Bye.
Howie. Thanks for doing this.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you, Howie.
Bye-bye.